If you're short on time or money, you might be tempted to do tutoring or even regular lessons only once a week. Stop. Watch this video first before you make that decision. Are you a parent who finds the time commitment of running to a tutor center twice a week difficult to arrange with your busy schedule? Or maybe finances are tight and so you feel like you can only afford tutoring once a week? Or maybe you're a specialist and you're working in the school system and you have to go between schools and you can't really get back and forth between schools very readily. And so it's much easier just to schedule your student for an hour once a week than it is 2 30-minute sessions twice a week. And I get that. We have to be practical. But for a child who has poor memory skills, they can't retain that information a full week. I learned this lesson over 40 years ago when I was teaching my firstborn son how to read. And the program I was using required that we do the phonics training twice a day. They said 5 to 15 minutes of the exercises twice a day was going to be far more effective than doing it once a day for 30 minutes. And I really found that he caught on so quickly with the twice a day method, even though I found it a little difficult with younger children around and trying to keep them occupied while I was working with their older brother twice a day. But it really worked well. And I learned from that. That really is a very important thing to keep in mind with a child who's functioning at a low level. For example, a child who's just beginning to learn their sounds, their letters, or the basics of reading, their memory skills are not strong enough to keep that information for a whole week. They probably can't even keep it for several days. And so working several times a day in short little spurts is far better if possible. If it's not possible, at least once a day. Because otherwise what happens is every time you get together to start working with a child, you have to review what you've learned before. You have to kind of refresh their memory, so to speak. This is especially true, as I said, with young children, but it also holds out with kids who are low functioning, so especially the kids in the learning disability space. If they have poor memory skills, they're going to need to work as frequently as possible. I sometimes encourage kids to come in once a day for the first couple weeks just to build those skills quickly. And then after that, we can get by with every other day or twice a week. This decision on how often to meet should be based on the skill level of the child, not on their age or on their grade level. It really is dependent on what their memory skill level is. For example, a preschool or kindergartner probably should meet at least once a day, or if possible, twice a day, to work on the skill that you're trying to work on. The first and second grader can probably go one day, possibly 2 days, between sessions. And by the time they're in third or fourth grade, they can actually skip a few days without any harm. Their memory skills are strong enough. Again, we're basing that on their ability level, not on their grade level, and not on their age level. But as their skills get stronger, again, you can stretch that time out. And as a little hint, for those of you who are working with private tutors, I understand that it gets kind of expensive, but one thing you can try, instead of saying, okay, it's $60 an hour for tutoring, I can't afford any more than that, ask the tutor if they can break it down and meet with the student twice a week for 30 minutes instead, just temporarily, so that they can retain the information between the sessions. And as they catch on, they're not going to need such frequent sessions. And I understand there are times where it just can't work out. If you're a teacher in the school district and you're serving a number of schools, sometimes it's just impossible to get back and forth between the many schools that you have to service, and I understand that. So just keep it in mind for those you can't help, or maybe even ask the teacher to review the information that you've taught during your one-on-one session on a daily basis for just 5 minutes after school or during recess. And maybe something like that could work. But just try to keep that concept in mind. So that's the pro tip for today. See you next time.